On this episode of Exactly How Podcast and YouTube Show, we uncover exactly how to find notes, underwrite them, and then buy them. See you guys soon.
You're listening to the Exactly How podcast, where you'll hear the underground, closely guarded wealth building secrets of successful people around the globe. Discover exactly how to improve your mental, physical, and financial health. Feel better, make more money, live, give, and prosper in today's exciting, fast-paced world filled with opportunity for those who know exactly how.
Welcome to the Exactly How Podcast and YouTube Show brought to you by Connected Investors. During this episode, you'll discover exactly how to make incredible returns investing in real estate using notes. Now, for those of you who are new, my name is Sean Young, today's host and proud member of the Connected Investors community. Before I introduce you to our next guest speaker today, I want to make a request that if at any point in the show you like what you're hearing, please give us a thumbs up or subscribe to this show so that you don't miss an episode. And make sure to look into the description of this episode as we've packed it with thousands of dollars in free resources. Now today, we have the privilege to learn from a man who has transformed his venture-backed startup that raised $44 million from a startup e-commerce engine into a full-on growth machine with over 300 employees. Bob is a former Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year award winner. Now, prior to his career in real estate, he worked in finance. But all that changed when he discovered a high-yield, high-liquidity asset-secured investment that produced consistently excellent returns without all the risks of normal investing. So he dove right in. I would describe our next guest as bold. I'd like to introduce you to the one, the only, Bob Frazier. Bob, thanks for being a guest on today's show today.
Nice to be here with you, Sean.
Thank you. So Bob, before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about where you're from and a little bit about your background?
Well, I started as a computer programmer and ended up having a big run of luck and the dot-com boom. I started a tech business and blew up before we got caught in the tech wreck. That's what got me some interest in real estate, which is, a little less volatile than the stock market. So, that's my background.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. A lot of folks say that, I had a choice. I was either going to invest in real estate or invest in stocks, and I felt a little more secure in the real estate route.
Exactly.
So I'm sure on this episode that you're going to dive into that and help our listeners out there understand why that's a great route for them to go. But guys, before we dive into exactly how to use residential mortgage notes to make an incredible return on investing, Bob, you contribute a lot of your success to your ability to make bold predictions about the economy and technology. Why do you think this has played such a huge role in your success?
Yeah, well, after getting creamed in the tech wreck, in the late 90s, kind of got passionate about, knowing what the peaks and valleys of the economy are is pretty huge, right? As I call it, no one can predict the waves, the economic waves that are coming, but I want to know the tides. You can predict the tides. And so I spent a lot of time reading and studying and understanding what are the tides? What is moving? Is real estate going to go up on a tide level or going to go down? Those kind of things. And so that's really helped me. It's informed my personal investing as well as my business investment, right? I mean, look, if you're starting a business in the dot-com business in the dot-com boom, you got a better shot than if you're starting a dot-com business in the dot-com crash, right? And the Absolutely. Same thing with real estate. It's like, so timing really matters. You got to know what time it is. And so it's become a passion is do that. I today do an economic newsletter to my investors. It's a private newsletter, really, and telling them what's coming and how to position yourself ahead of these things.
Awesome. Definitely, thanks for sharing that. Well, Bob, what makes the Exactly How Financial Freedom podcast and YouTube show unique is that every show comes with a detailed action plan. We pull steps out of each show and create a blueprint on how to implement exactly what we're uncovering. Now, all you guys have to do out there is visit connectedinvestors.com/free to get the free takeaways and the resources and the key gifts that Bob has generously allowed us to give you today. Now, as nearly 1 million people know, Connected Investors is a social network of real estate investors and a marketplace of investment properties. In the description of this video, I've included a link to this episode's forum discussion. Tap that link to ask me and other pros questions and see what investors are saying about this episode. Plus, you get to see our free training right now. You can text the word exactly to 910-600-0630. Again, guys, that's exactly to 910-600-0630. This is exactly how I make my money, guys. You can find property in any town for pennies on the dollar with this software that I use each and every day. So, Bob, let's dive into the steps to use residential mortgage notes to make an incredible return while investing. Before the show, we broke it down into 3 steps. And those 3 steps were find the notes, underwrite the notes and research them, and buy them. Can you break down step 1, finding the notes, for us?
Sure, but Sean, maybe we should talk about what are notes to begin with.
So, that would help.
So people generally understand that, right? You find the house, you bid on it, you buy it, you fix it up, you sell it. That's well understood. What people don't understand as much is that there's notes that are also available. You can buy literally a owner-occupied home, but you don't have to buy the home. You actually buy the note, so you become the bank. And it's actually, very advantageous. So it's, imagine if you owned, 1,500 homes, right? How much work that would be, collecting those rent payments and doing the maintenance and whatever, So you basically, it's a much more passive business, but it also has incredible upside. So thankfully, people think it's real boring, and that's great. I like that. But we actually buy discounted notes. So you buy notes instead of a note that, where they owe $100,000 in this loan. Maybe we buy that for $60,000. So our cost basis is quite a bit lower, and that gives us the upside. So we have access to the real estate. If they don't pay, we collect the real estate. But we also get those regular monthly payments, like a rental, except without the headaches. And then we also have the upside if when they refinance or sell, because we recover that discount. So it's a great business. It's very unique. Very few people are doing it, and very few people understand about this.
I mean, it definitely sounds very intriguing. I'm definitely interested in learning more myself, just so that I can be 100% clear on what this is. So let me just ask you this, Bob. So is it correct to say that a note is basically you purchasing like the
mortgage?
The mortgage. You're basically purchasing the agreement.
And I become the bank. So all that fine print that you sign, if you own a home, you sign this fine print with the bank where they basically have the right to do everything. That becomes mine. So now I have all those rights. I am the bank. I board it with a servicer. So they send this mortgage servicer for, $15, $30 a month. We'll send the statements out, does the 1098, blah, blah, blah. And they forward the payments to me. It's as simple as that. So I become the bank and let someone else process all that stuff. The only time I get involved is if they stop paying.
Love it. Okay, got it. I'm crystal clear on that now. That is awesome. Well, that leads us right into step 1. Like you say, now that we know what notes are, how do we find those notes?
And so there are actually note exchanges out there. And one that we use quite a bit is called PaperStack. It's PaperStack. And we're not affiliated with them. I don't get anything from them, but we use them to sell notes that we no longer want. And there's a lot of people that sell notes on that website. So basically you can go, and there's a few others, National Loan Exchange. There's a few others, I can't remember the names, but there's their notes for sale. So a lot of times what happens is hedge funds buy a lot of these notes. So they go to for example, the big auctions of Fannie and Freddie, et cetera. Well, a certain percentage of these are defaulted loans. They begin as defaulted loans, but then the borrower gets back on their feet. So let's say they had a divorce or a medical crisis or COVID or something, and they stop paying for a while. And then the banks sell these off as bad loans, but then they get their job back or something else and they start paying again. Well, now it's considered a bad loan. And so then you can buy these that were once bad loans but are now paying loans. You follow me?
Absolutely.
And you buy them at discounts. And so that's what we do. They're called reperforming notes, so or troubled debt restructures. So the banks hate this stuff, but that's what creates the outsized gains, is having hated assets. So I love hated assets.
Wow, this is some powerful stuff, guys. I hope you guys are taking some notes out there. Taking notes on finding notes, because this
There
is
you
some awesome
go.
information, Bob.
That's right, Sean.
So that takes us into step two, which is underwriting those notes, and researching those.
Well, and like anything, Sean, in real estate, you make your money when you buy, right? And so this is exactly the same. In fact, if you're an experienced real estate investor, you're probably halfway there to figuring out if a note is a good investment, because you've got to look at the underlying real estate. Let's say they do not pay. Okay, well then what do you end up with at the end of the day? How much debt do you own? What's that property worth? What's the condition if you have to get in? What does it cost you to take that property back? So foreclosure will cost anywhere from $1,500 to $3,500. It can take anywhere from 6 months to 4 years. So you got to research that, and it's not rocket science, and depending which state you're in, and so you underwrite the real estate. I actually prefer buying second mortgages, believe it or not. And so if you buy a second mortgage, the yields are way higher and the risks are not necessarily that much more, but you can measure all that. You also need to research the senior lien and figure out how much is owed, blah, blah, blah. So it's a real estate play. It's a debt play where you got to understand the debt that's ahead of you. And then it's a borrower play. What kind of credit does the borrower have? So it's basically a big research project to figure out, is this note good? What is my risk? What am I willing to pay for this?
Which brings us into the next step, since you know what you're willing to pay which is buying them. Step number 3.
You buy the note and you board it. So find a servicer, a mortgage servicer. There's a number of good ones out there that will board single notes for our investors, and buy the note, get it transferred over. The servicer takes care of all that, and you collect the payments.
Is buying the note, is that an easy process, or is that a complex process?
Generally it's fairly easy. Usually you make a bid on it. At that point, you enter a due diligence phase. It's very much like buying a house. So you do a due diligence phase. If you uncover anything you don't like, you kick it back or whatever. But then it goes into a transfer process where typically, this is regulated by RESPA regulations, but the servicers know all that. So you transfer it into, the servicer basically, the selling servicer writes a goodbye letter. The beginning servicer writes a hello letter. You've probably gotten these where you get a letter in the mail. Your mortgage is now being serviced by so-and-so, right? And that's exactly what happens. So typically your servicer will walk through that. You wire the money. A lot of times it's escrowed. PaperStack does a real good job at making it very buyer friendly. And they have a number of resources to kind of familiarize you with the process. And you wire the money. The servicer begins transferring it, while you actually execute, the change in title, and those loans are recorded, very much like property. It's a fairly simple process.
So let me ask you this, Bob. If someone were interested in getting started with the note purchasing business, do they need to use their own money to purchase these notes, or is it similar to maybe how real estate can be, where you can use other people's money or you can borrow money?
You really can't borrow money. When you get bigger, there are banks that will loan money on senior mortgages. Those are, typically you've got to borrow $10 million or more from institutions. So there are companies that will do that. They're called warehouse lines or reverse warehouse lines. But for the little guy, not really. But if you're looking for outsized returns and you don't have a lot of capital, I would buy second mortgages. And second mortgages are actually far more lucrative. They're heavily discounted because people don't understand them and people don't know how to underwrite them, which I love. Anytime you have that, you have an inefficient market. So buying seconds is great as long as you know what you're doing, as long as you do the research on the senior mortgage. And you have to understand that if the senior stops being paid, then you need to know what to do to take advantage of this, and you need to have a law firm ready to go. But you can make fantastic returns. I mean, we buy seconds at as much as 50%, 60%, even 70% discounts. Wow. So we're buying $100,000 mortgage for $30,000, and if they do refinance, you get a really nice windfall. So
that is great stuff, powerful stuff. Bob, if someone wanted to reach you out there, to get a hold of you, how could they get a hold of you guys out there?
aspenfunds.us, like Aspen, like the tree, FUNDS.us.
Awesome.
We don't have training materials, so we're not trainers. We're just investors. We do this ourselves very successfully. We run third-party funds where you can invest passively with us, and we do this. So it doesn't take any expertise at that point. It's just a way to put your capital to work. But we do. So we have a webinar that you can watch that actually shows kind of what we do and how it works for us.
That is awesome, because you do often hear a lot of folks saying, hey, I want to park my money in real estate and somehow, or, get involved with that somehow. And this seems like you say, you don't have to really be an expert in this area, because they can come to someone such as yourself, who's the expert, and you can invest on their behalf.
That's right. That's right. Awesome. And for a lot of people, you got a busy career. The last thing you want to do is be trying to swing a hammer or something like that, or even figure out all the legalities of this when, you give up a little bit of the piece of the pie, but you sleep at night,
Get a piece of mind.
And notes are great, because, a guy like me, hey, I was a computer programmer, those little fingers, very pink, they don't know what to do with a hammer, so there's a lot of guys that are just not very handy, and, but boy, give me a spreadsheet and I'm good, so there's a certain class of investor that notes are just really good for. And certainly passive makes a lot of sense, especially if you're just getting started, you want to learn a little bit, and participate without taking a ton of risk.
Got it. That sounds awesome, guys. Well, guys, as a reminder, if at any point in the show you like what you're hearing, like I am right now, please give us a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss an episode. Your engagement is what keeps us doing this show for absolutely nothing, for free, guys. Now, Bob, what do you think your life would be like if you never learned about these notes and you were still working in finance?
Yeah, well, let's just say we've done well. And, I've got an incredible team that I like going to work every day. I like who I work with, and we're making our investors a lot of money. We're having a lot of fun doing it, and we're changing lives for our borrowers as well. So, I didn't want to think about what it would be like without that.
Exactly. Why even think of the past, right? I mean, you are where you are. That is awesome, and you're changing lives, making your reality what you want it to be. I love it. Well, Bob, that brings us to the part of the show that's called the rapid fire session, where I'm going to ask you some questions, and you just give me the first answer that comes to mind after I ask you these questions.
Shoot.
All right, let's go. On a scale from 1 to 10, how strict were your parents?
Oh, that's a good one. I'd say 7. They're pretty strict.
Okay. Get up early or stay up late?
Oh, I'm definitely an early riser. Yeah. I'm asleep by 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, and up at dawn or before usually.
Up early. All right. How many hours of sleep do you think you get?
6 to 7.
Okay. And what is the favorite or last book that you've read?
Oh, I just read a good one by Stephen Pressfield called Virtues of War. It's a historical biography of Alexander the Great. Fantastic book.
Okay.
I love anything historical.
Awesome. Now, if you could be any superhero, Bob, who would you be?
Oh gosh. I just, I'd be me. I'd be a good dad. And I don't really watch the superheroes much, so.
Hey, you said you're a superhero in your own right.
That's it. I'd be myself.
Something that everyone should do less of.
What's that?
Something that everyone should do less of.
Complain And blame. Forget that stuff.
Good ones, good ones. Something that everyone should do more of.
Read.
Another good one. Bitcoin, bang or bust.
Bitcoin. Now, I'm actually a computer scientist, okay, and I have written extensively on Bitcoin. So I would say bang and bust. It is going to bang as far as it's going to go up because it has basically a capped supply. But it's not blockchain, and certainly Bitcoin has very marginal utility, and so there's just very little you can do with it unless you're a drug dealer or a criminal. There's just not that much to do with it. And again, I love the technology. I'm a technologist, so I think it's super fascinating. But if there's one to invest in, it would be Ethereum, because it's more of a blockchain Lego set than it is a cryptocurrency. And so if you want to bet on blockchain, that's my bet.
Got it. Good one. Good one. Well, Bob, if and during your lifetime, will people live on Mars?
Absolutely not. No chance. Again, I'm a scientist. I know the barriers. It's like a 2-3 year journey, back in, they don't even know how to solve the radiation problem. How do you keep people from being irradiated to death?
Van Allen belt?
There's so many issues, that there's just not a chance. I appreciate the earnestness, but as a scientist, there's way too many obstacles to overcome for the next 30 years, say.
Understood.
What do you think?
I ask that question on every show, and I really never give my answer on that. I'm thinking that, like you say, if you're a scientist and you think from a scientific perspective, you got to just look at what the science is saying. And like you say, that radiation problem, breaking through that radiation, area and coming back even, that seems to be a pretty serious problem to overcome. And I'm not sure how that's going to be done just yet. At least I'm not aware of it.
No, they don't have any answers. Then that's just one of about 100 problems of going to Mars. They have no clue how they're going to do it, but a lot of desire and earnestness, which is great. I mean, we're going to get a lot of breakthroughs, and so that's science for you.
Absolutely, that is science for you. Well, Bob, I have really enjoyed today's episode. I've learned a lot. I know our audience out there has learned a lot as well. And guys, you have all made it to the end of the show, and most people never finish what they start. So you're special. Now, if you got any value out of this show like I did, share this with a friend or on your Facebook page. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and send us topics that you want to learn more about. And like I said earlier, guys, nearly 1 million people use the Connected Investors social network and marketplace to connect. In the description of this episode, we've included a link to today's forum discussion. Tap that link, ask me and other pros questions, and see what investors are saying about this episode. So guys, until the next episode, you can catch me on the inside of Connected Investors. See you then.
The Connected Investors app connects you with investors, notifies you of available properties, helps locate cash buyers, and secure private funding to close deals. Set up in seconds to become a member of the Connected Investors social network. Now you can scroll through your main feed to find cash buyers, see investment properties not available to the general public, and network with investors by adding your own comments to a thread to keep the conversation going. The Control Center is your connection to add properties to sell, start new discussions, connect with local investors, and even find private funding. The Notifications tab will keep you alerted to new investment properties and offers. You'll also find new friend requests to connect directly with the community to build your network. From the property marketplace, you'll be able to find, favorite, and make offers on investment properties. Download Connected Investors today to find, figure, fund, and flip investment properties on the go.